Oh, hello there. Yes, well, good grief, hurtling our way through the weekend, I'm pleased to say. A weekend bursting full of new ideas, especially from what we might call the progressive right. Yes, they're progressing at a rate of knots, aren't they? Doesn't worry anybody. Definitely not me. I think I'll be fine as long as I hide. Yes, anyway, we had a couple of beauties from Elon Musk, who is very determined that his boy should win. Nobody seems to find it problematic that the world's richest man is putting so much effort into getting one particular candidate elected. Apparently that's just part of the democratic way that we live. But did have to smile at this. I think teaching kids critical thinking is very important. It's a mental firewall. Teach them the types of fallacies and forms of trickery they're likely to encounter. Immunise kids against propaganda. Basically teach kids to be sceptical about what they're told. Yes. Now, people on the right do love mentioning these kind of things about teaching children how to think and what to think. Not what to think, obviously, but being critical. But whenever people like me actually do things like that, they find it incredibly problematic, because what kids then tend to do, of course, is they tend to find other things problematic that the right don't really like very much. No. Anyway, did have to smile at the fact that was from Autism Central. Still, that's Elon Musk. And probably for those of you with a particular deep understanding of economics are probably going to really appreciate this one from him as well, whereby he agrees with somebody who was agreeing with him, inevitably. Something you'll never hear the government or the legacy media lapdogs tell you. The only thing that causes inflation is government overspending. It's fundamentally a form of taxation, yes. And Elon Musk was enjoying, was very much in favour of the person who was in favour of him, who was in favour of him, or something. I don't know. Yes. Now, some of you might be thinking, I don't think that is exactly what inflation is caused by. And yes, you'd just be wrong, because obviously Elon can't be wrong about things. I mean, he would never use his platform to tell lies, because after all, we do have community notes on Twitter, and you'll notice that, oh no, it hasn't been, has it? No, of course not, because Elon's tweets don't get community noted. Still, it's just a standard free speech issue whereby all of us stand in line and we're all completely equal, aren't we? Except for him and all the other rich people and all the blue ticks and all the things that he decides with the algorithm he's going to push. But apart from that, it's all completely above board and legitimate. But some of you some of you with an economic bent may well think, I think there are other things that cause inflation. Yes, indeed. I'm not really quite sure what happened a few years ago when Russia invaded the Ukraine and as such disrupted, what might be regarded as the breadbasket of Europe, and also punished European support for the Ukraine by really racking up price of fuel. Now, that appeared to me to coincide with a spike in inflation, but apparently, according to Elon, that doesn't happen. Okay, that's not the way that inflation works. It's just governments overspending. So I guess our governments were overspending by stocking up on suddenly expensive olive oil or something. Yeah, you can see the fundamental problem here. It's utter rubbish. But, of course, the important thing is to persuade people that don't know anything about inflation that indeed it is definitely that causes it. Because after all, if you want to get your boy to win so you can come in and be the government efficiency person, in other words, just simply slash those non-rocket related budgets that you don't like, then you have to persuade everybody that magically inflation will stop. Anyway, never mind that. This weekend, yesterday, was the beginning of the Battle of Idea thing that we get from the Spiked crew. Every year they love to do this, and I'm always impressed by a group of people that can earnestly invite Darren Grimes to something called the Battle of Ideas. Yes, because Darren Grimes, of course, has only ever had one idea, which is to read things off an auto cue for money. And it's worked very, very well for him for all these years, hasn't it? And there were other luminans there. There were the usual Spiked anti-turf crew, so we end up with James S's and Glinner telling us all about it. Not very dodgy people in the slightest. No. You'd be wrong about that, of course, because it's all about a broad breadth of opinion. Everything from, the transphobia of Glinner to the transphobia of James S's to the transphobia of everyone else that's there. Because you need to thrash things out in public, because it's important, isn't it, that people have critical thinking. Yeah, just not there, or indeed the British media. And the British media, again, just in a very, very similar way, were on full display this week. I had to smile at the Daily Telegraph, who had to link two things together that aren't necessarily linked, but you have to spot what they may be doing here, okay? Living standards improve at the slowest rate in 50 years as immigration soars. Yes, you see, and we're all a lot poorer, and I wonder why that is, brown people. I can't possibly brown people think brown people, why that might be. Yes, but you'll notice this coincides very, very neatly with the notion that the Conservative Party, who have been in power for the last 14 odd years, and neoliberalism, which has been in power for the last 45 years, it can't possibly be anything wrong that they've done, because it's a perfect model. You know, it's the way economics works. You just have to look at inflation, which is caused by government spending, for example, to realise these things. Yeah, just a bit of critical thinking you can apply there. I'm surprised you didn't learn it at school. Anyway, yes, you can do that, can't you? But my favourite bit this weekend was something that won't get a lot of coverage. For some bizarre reason, Matt Goodwin decided to go up against Mehdi Hussein. And it got in a debate, and it got shown on Al Jazeera, link down below. Please do watch it, because Mehdi, being the critical thinking nasty lefty that he is, but nevertheless a very critical thinking thing, decided to tackle Matt on all of those things that he doesn't exactly tell the truth on. And I don't know why Matt Goodwin does this, because he cannot cope with people criticising him. There's an interview with him on Novara Media going up against Aaron Bastani, and he squirms. It's a personality defect of his. He really can't properly defend himself. And in this case, it was about social housing in London, which he's long claimed basically just goes to loads of brown people. And when he was tackled about this, he basically had to say that somehow, for some reason, Sadiq Khan is lying about the numbers of people involved, which means that all of the government machinery is wrong and probably needs an Elon Musk style overhaul. After all, imagine if people were, put up in front of you telling lies. It would be very, very bad, wouldn't it? But for some reason, people just haven't tackled Sadiq Khan enough or something. Yes, you do have to find yourself wondering exactly how much longer these people can carry on doing this. I mean, when literally the last 2 bricks in Britain fall over and they cannot extract any more wealth whatsoever, will they finally admit that there might have been something wrong? Or will they by then have moved on to the very, very final group of people that they can possibly pick on, which is basically the white working class? Because that's starting to get to where it's going very, very quickly, okay? You can burn your way through trans people, don't really like them. You can burn your way through gay people, don't really like them. You can burn your way through women's stuff, don't really like them. You can burn your way certainly through immigrants all the way along the line. But eventually you have to hit the poor, and some of them might start getting a bit uppity. Imagine that. Imagine a person who's working class has a bit of critical thinking. It would be blindingly awful, wouldn't it? Yes. Awful. Awful. Thank God we don't have any. Yes.